Hello NEET aspirants, I hope you all are doing great. So I am here at Sri Chaitanya Gosala, myself Madhu Yadav, and I am senior faculty for zoology. So today I will be discussing with you the structure of kidney and nephron, which is very important to understand a very conceptual topic, that is urine formation. So before telling you the urine formation, before going into the details of urine formation, we will first talk about the structure of kidney and structure of nephron. Alright, so let's get started without any delay. So here, first of all, if you look at the human excretory system, you will find kidneys. How many kidneys? A pair of kidneys, right? So we are talking about human excretory system, right? So let us see what is there in human excretory system. So as you can see here, two kidneys are there, right? A pair of kidneys. Then you can see from the kidneys what is arising? A pair of ureter, right? Ureter. This is ureter. So then the two ureters, they are opening into the urinary bladder, and then the urinary bladder will open outside through urethra. So there are four things here: pair of kidneys, pair of ureters, right? Then one urinary bladder and one urethra. So these are the components of the human excretory system. Now first we will look at the kidney. We will see the details of the kidney, and as you can see other things here, this is the diagram from the NCERT only, and all the NCERT diagrams are very important from the NEET point of view. So you have to see the labelings and everything very carefully in the NCERT diagrams, right? You have to remember them. As you can see here, this is the inferior vena cava. So inferior vena cava is for what purpose? You know that inferior vena cava is going to open into the heart, right? And it is taking all the deoxygenated blood. So all the deoxygenated blood of the body is going into the right atrium, right? So there are two vena cavas. One is the superior vena cava, which will carry the deoxygenated blood of the upper body parts, and one is the inferior vena cava, which will carry the deoxygenated blood of the lower body parts. And as you know that it is present lower in the body, the kidneys are present lower in the body. So that is why from here the deoxygenated blood of the kidneys will be taken by the inferior vena cava. So this is for that purpose, right? Then if you see the dorsal aorta here, what is it labeled? It is the dorsal aorta. You know that aorta arises from the left ventricle. Yes or no? In the left heart, the oxygenated blood is coming from the lungs, right? In the left atria, the pulmonary veins are opening, and then the oxygenated blood will come into the left ventricle, and then it is pumped into the whole body, because every tissue, every organ of our body requires oxygenated blood. Just like that, kidneys also require oxygenated blood, right? So for that, we have dorsal aorta. From the dorsal aorta, the renal artery will be started here, right? From the dorsal aorta, the renal artery will be started. So here the renal artery is arising from the dorsal aorta, and it is entering into the kidney, and it is supplying oxygenated blood. Whereas if you will see inferior vena cava, this is inferior vena cava. So here the renal vein is coming out of the kidney, and then it is opening into the inferior vena cava. So here deoxygenated blood will be there, and in the dorsal aorta and renal artery, it will supply oxygenated blood. Oxygenated blood. And you can see renal vein also here, which will take deoxygenated blood. It will take deoxygenated blood of the kidneys, right? So you understood this diagram. There are two kidneys here. Then above the kidney, you can see there is a endocrine gland, beta. That is known as adrenal gland. The name itself telling you the presence of the adrenal gland above the kidneys, right? So two adrenal glands, because two kidneys are there. Adrenal gland is a part of the endocrine system. So we will take it separately, and we will study about adrenal gland separately. But you should know the location of the adrenal gland, right? So you understood this diagram very well, that kidneys are there, above them adrenal gland is there, inferior vena cava, and dorsal aorta is there. Where is renal vein? Where is renal artery? It is arising from where? It is taking which type of blood? You have understood. Then from the kidneys, you can see ureters are arising, right? And these ureters are opening into the urinary bladder. There is a space here in the urinary bladder where the urine will be stored. Where the urine will be stored. This is known as trigone. Why it is known as trigone? Because here there are three openings actually. The two openings are for the ureters. Ureters are opening, and then the urine will go out through the urethra. Urethra is also an opening, right? So here we have understood that two kidneys, from them ureters are arising. Ureters are opening into the urinary bladder, and urinary bladder is opening into the urethra, and urethra is opening outside. Through urethra, the urine will be going out, right? We will talk about urethra, ureter, kidney and urinary bladder in detail, right? So if you look at the kidney here on the other side, you can see another diagram which is a longitudinal section of the kidney. In this you can see inside the kidney there are two parts, beta. How many parts? Two parts. The outer part is always known as cortex, right? Outer part is known as cortex and the inner part is known as the medulla, right? So there are two parts, one is cortex and one is medulla. So I'll be writing here and you can understand it. So kidneys, I am talking about kidneys. There are two parts inside the kidney. One is the outer part, that is known as cortex. This is the outer part. And another part is the medulla, which is the inner part. So now in this medulla you will see some pyramids, and those pyramids are known as medullary pyramids, right? Medullary pyramids. Medullary pyramids, right? So I will show them here. These are the medullary pyramids. You can see one medullary pyramid here. These are the medullary pyramids. In between the medullary pyramids also there is a space which is the cortex is present in between the medullary pyramids. So this is also the cortical part, right? In between the medullary pyramids there is a cortical part which is known as renal column. Renal column. So if somebody will ask you renal column is the part of cortex or medulla, then you have to tell cortex. The cortex of the kidney is extending into the medulla in form of the renal columns. Alright. So in the medulla, medullary pyramids are there. Then the medullary pyramid has this conical part that is known as renal papilla. Renal papilla. So many will be known as papillae. So you can see medullary pyramid has a conical base, that is renal papilla, and then it is opening here in the calyx, right? So there are two types of calyxes. First will come the minor calyx, then will come the major calyx. I will tell you. Look here. So medullary pyramids, they have a base, they have a conical base that is known as renal papilla. And this renal papilla will be opening into the minor calyx, beta. Minor calyx. So it's not like only one renal papilla will be opening into the minor calyx. See, every medullary pyramid will have one renal papilla. One medullary pyramid will have one renal papilla. Then 2 to 3 renal papilla will be opening into one minor calyx. Then again the same thing will happen, 2 to 3 minor calyx will be opening into one major calyx. So that is what is not mentioned in NCERT, minor and major. It is simply telling you calyx. But there are two types of spaces. The first space in which the renal papilla will open is minor calyx. Then 2-3 minor calyx will open into one major calyx. And then 2-3 major calyx will open into one renal pelvis. So there is one renal pelvis. In one kidney, there is one renal pelvis. You can see this renal pelvis. From the renal pelvis only, the ureters are arising. Ureters arise. Right? So you can see Let us go back to the diagram and let us see the details. So as you can see here, the medullary pyramid, then this conical part is known as renal papilla. Let me use a different color to mark this. So this is renal papilla. This is renal papilla. So the space which is coming here, for example here, in this renal papilla, in this space, this renal papilla is also opening, this is also opening, and this is also opening. So we can tell this is minor calyx. We can tell this is minor calyx. Minor calyx. And after that, we can tell this is major calyx. Major calyx. And then you can see what is this space in which one or two, you can see one major calyx is here, one major calyx is here, we can say. So then we can understand that two major calyxes are opening into this renal pelvis. Right, everyone? So are you understanding the internal structure of the kidney? In the internal structure, you can see the medullary pyramids, and then each medullary pyramid will have a renal papilla, and then the renal papilla, 2 or 3 renal papilla are opening into a minor calyx, then they will lead into a major calyx, and in one kidney there will be one renal pelvis. From the renal pelvis only the ureter is arising. So I hope this is clear to everyone. And I will tell you the structural and functional unit of kidney, nephron, where it is present in this kidney. We will now look at the nephron where it is present in the kidney. So can you see these lines? These lines are representing the nephron. So if somebody will ask you the location of nephron, so you have to tell it is present at the junction of cortex and medulla. Based upon its location, we have two different types of nephron which we will talk about in the another part. First, we are looking at the internal structure of the kidney, right? So in the internal structure of the kidney, you have understood cortex, then you have understood medulla. Now I have told you at the junction of cortex and medulla, nephron is present. So I think this part is clear. Now I will tell you externally this kidney, you can see one more labeling here, renal capsule. So this is actually the innermost layer of the wall of kidney, innermost layer, right? If I will tell you the kidney wall, so here I will be telling you, let us suppose this is kidney. So the innermost layer, the one which is innermost, is labeled in the NCERT, that is renal capsule, right? Outside this renal capsule, there is a layer in which fat is present. Fat. Do you know about fat? Adipose tissue. Why this fat layer is present? Because it is giving protection to the kidneys. Kidneys are very important organs of our body. They are vital organs, so they need protection, and for that fat is present. Fat is forming a layer which will be called as adipose capsule. Adipose capsule. So the innermost you already know. The innermost is what? The innermost is renal capsule. And the middle one is adipose capsule. Now there is the outermost layer. There is the outermost layer which I am making with a green color. I hope it is visible. The difference between the adipose capsule and the outermost. The outermost is known as fascia or renal fascia, right? The outermost is known as fascia or renal fascia, right? Renal fascia. So these three layers are forming the wall of kidney. There are 3 layers in the wall of kidney. The renal fascia is the outermost layer. Renal fascia is the outermost layer and it is connecting the kidney to the pelvic wall. It connects kidney to pelvic wall. Alright. So now you understood, on outer side also you understood that how many layers are present in the wall of the kidney, right? So there are 3 layers. The one which is labeled in NCERT is renal capsule. So now you understood that renal capsule is the innermost layer. Outer to renal capsule, adipose tissue layer is also present, which is known as adipose capsule. And outer to that, on the outermost side, there is renal fascia, right? So there are 3 layers. So after this, we will further talk about kidney. Few points are also there for the kidneys. So now, you need to understand the dimensions of the kidney and the location of the kidney, which is given in NCERT, right? So if we talk about the shape of the kidney, it is bean shaped. Bean shaped. What is the color of the kidneys? It is reddish brown. Reddish brown. Reddish brown, bean shaped. Reddish brown, bean shaped. And also what is given? Length of the kidney, width of the kidney, thickness of the kidney, and weight of the kidney. So 10 to 12 centimeter is the length, right? Then 5 to 7 centimeter is the width. Then 2 to 3 centimeter is the thickness. And then 120 to 150 gram is the weight of the kidneys. All these dimensions of the kidneys you have to remember because all of them are given in NCERT, right? So it is very important. Then one more thing about the kidney is its location. So whenever we tell the location of any internal organ of our body, we take the vertebral column. We always consider the vertebral column. And do you know that vertebral column is divided into many regions? So in the neck region, the vertebrae are known as cervical vertebrae. Then in the thorax region, it is thoracic vertebrae. After thoracic vertebrae, what comes? Lumbar vertebrae, then sacral vertebrae, then coccygeal vertebrae, right? So where the kidneys are present. So always remember kidneys are present in the abdomen, and abdomen starts after thorax. That means thorax is ending at the last thoracic vertebrae, right? So what is the location of the kidney? The location of the kidneys is between last thoracic and third lumbar vertebrae. Between last thoracic and third lumbar vertebrae, kidneys are located. One more thing about kidney, one more very, very important thing about kidneys. It is said that kidneys are retroperitoneal in arrangement. Retroperitoneal. What is the meaning of this term retroperitoneal? Kidneys are retroperitoneal in arrangement. What is the meaning of this line? What is the meaning of this term retroperitoneal? Let me explain you this now. So, do you know that every organ of your body has a covering that is known as peritoneum, right? So, kidneys are also the organs in your body and they are also covered by peritoneum. But the thing is, kidneys are attached on the dorsal side to the dorsal wall. Let us suppose this is the dorsal body wall. If any person is standing like this is the dorsal body wall and this is the kidney. So, kidney is attached like this. So, kidneys are fused with the dorsal body wall. So, on the dorsal side, this peritoneum cover is not present. Let me explain you this with the help of the diagram. So, here you can see, let us suppose this is the dorsal body wall. This is the dorsal body wall. This is the dorsal body wall, right? And let us suppose this is the kidney. So, you can see that this is the ventral surface of the kidney. This is the ventral surface of the kidney and this is the dorsal surface. This is the dorsal surface of the kidney. Dorsal surface of the kidney. So, on the ventral surface only the peritoneum cover is present. Let me show you this as a peritoneum cover. This is what? This is the peritoneum cover. This is the peritoneum cover. As I said, every organ has a covering known as peritoneum. So, this peritoneum is present on only ventral side, right? Kidneys are covered by peritoneum only on the ventral side, not on the dorsal side, because dorsal side is fused with the dorsal body wall. This is the dorsal body wall. This is the dorsal body wall. This is the dorsal body wall. So dorsal side of kidney is fused with the dorsal body wall. That is why we say peritoneum cover is only present on the ventral side. That is what is the meaning of retroperitoneal. Retroperitoneal means peritoneum. Peritoneum is present only on ventral side. Only on ventral side. Not present on the dorsal side, because dorsal side is fused with the dorsal body wall. So let me give you a recap quickly what all we have studied, right, till now. So what all we have studied till now, we have seen the structure of the components of the human excretory system: 2 kidneys, 2 ureters, 1 urinary bladder and 1 urethra. Then we have seen the details of the kidney. Kidney is divided into 2 parts: outer cortex, inner medulla. Inner medulla is divided into many medullary pyramids. Each medullary pyramid has a conical base known as renal papilla. Renal papilla will open into minor calyx. Minor calyxes will open into major calyx. Major calyxes will open into renal pelvis, right? Number of renal pelvis in one kidney will be 1, right? In one kidney, there will be 1 renal pelvis. In this 1 renal pelvis, what is opening? Calyx is opening, right? Major calyx is opening. Then in the major calyx, what is opening? Minor calyx is opening. In the minor calyx, what is opening? Renal papilla is opening. And how many renal papilla are there in one kidney? It is equal to the number of medullary pyramids, because every medullary pyramid has a renal papilla, the base, the conical base, right? So cortex and medulla. The part of cortex extending into the medulla is known as renal column. It has another name, column of Bertini. Let me write the another name as well. This is known as column of Bertini. Column of Bertini. Right, everyone? So cortex, medulla, renal column or column of Bertini is the part of cortex, not the part of medulla. Only medullary pyramids are the part of medulla. Then you have seen the internal structure very well. You have understood the internal structure. Then we have understood everything about kidney. Each and every detail about the kidney we have understood. That how many layers are present in the wall of kidney? 3 layers. Outermost is renal fascia. Then middle one is adipose capsule and the innermost is renal capsule. Renal capsule is labeled in the NCERT diagram you have seen. Renal capsule. Renal capsule is labeled here. Right. Then we have talked about everything about kidney, like the color, the size, the weight of the kidneys, right? The dimensions, length, width, thickness, and we have understood the location. They are present between the last thoracic and third lumbar vertebra. Between the last thoracic and third lumbar vertebra, the kidneys are located. Last thoracic, how many total thoracic vertebrae are present? 12. So, after thorax, the kidneys will be present in the abdomen. So, after the last thoracic vertebrae, the kidneys will be present up to the third lumbar vertebrae. Total 5 lumbar vertebrae are there. Up to the third lumbar vertebrae, kidneys are present. Right? So, we have seen the location, the dimensions, color, shape and everything. And one more thing I have told you about kidneys, that they are retroperitoneal in arrangement. Now, after understanding kidneys, let us understand the further components of the human excretory system like ureters, urinary bladder and urethra. Right, everyone? So, if you have seen here the ureters, let me explain you about ureters, that they are very narrow tubes. Their diameter is very less. Only 2 things you have to remember about ureters. Their diameter 3 mm is the diameter of the ureter, right? And what is the length of the ureter? 25 to 30 centimeter long. They are 25 to 30 centimeter long. They are carrying the urine from the kidney and they are passing the urine to the urinary bladder, to the urinary bladder, right? So these are the long tubes, right? And they have a thick wall, right? So they have a thick wall, but we don't have to go into the details of the wall of ureter. But you need to understand the diameter and the length and from where it is arising. So here there is a notch which is called as hilum. Here, this notch from where the ureter is arising, this notch has a name known as hilum. Hilum is that notch from where the ureter is passing. There only the renal artery, renal vein is passing and the nerves are passing. So this is the notch here known as hilum. This is the notch, hilum. Here also you can see hilum. Here also you can see hilum. So from there only ureters are passing. Then let us talk of the urinary bladder. If we talk about the urinary bladder, it will store the urine, right? For some time, it stores the urine. It stores urine. Then when obviously the urinary bladder gets filled with urine, then it's the time to pass the urine out, right? So at that time, the signal is going to the urinary bladder muscles. So special type of muscles are present in the urinary bladder. They are known as detrusor muscles. They are known as what? They are detrusor muscles. They will push the urine. Detrusor muscles, they will push the urine. They will contract and they will push the urine out. So the special muscles which are present are known as detrusor muscles. Here only there are some stretch receptors. So when the signal will come? The signal will come when the urinary bladder will get full. So when the urinary bladder will get full, it will stretch. And then the stretch receptors will get activated and then they will send signal to CNS and then CNS will send the signal back for the passing out of the urine. Right? So this is micturition reflex which is coming in the later part of the chapter. Right? So which muscles, if somebody will ask you which muscles are present in the urinary bladder? Detrusor muscles. They are responsible for the passing of the urine because they will contract and then the urine will be passed. So then comes the urethra. The last part is the urethra. Here, in case of males and females, there are differences in the urethra. In males, it is 20 centimeter long, beta. In males, urethra is known as urinogenital duct. Urinogenital duct. Why? Because through the urethra, the semen will be passing and through the urethra, the urine will be passing. But in case of females, it is different. It is not the urinogenital duct. It is only the urethra. It is only passing the urine in the females, right? It is not the part of the reproductive system in case of females, but urethra is the part of the duct system of the male reproductive system. That is why it is known as urinogenital duct in males. It is longer and in females, it is short. It is just 2 to 3 centimeter, whereas in case of males, it is 20 centimeter long. It is not the urinogenital duct. So there are differences in male and female urethra, right? And also I will tell you one more thing. In the urethra, there are two sphincters which are involved in the micturition, in the act of passing urine. There is internal urethral sphincter and external urethral sphincter. Internal and external. These are the sphincters. These are the urethral sphincters. Sphincters are what? Sphincters are simply the muscles. The muscles, a band of muscles which will contract or relax. This is the function. So when both will relax, then the urine will be passed out, right? So internal is involuntary and external is the voluntary. Voluntary means in our will, right? It is in our control. So there are two sphincters, internal and external urethral sphincters in the urethra. So we have understood everything: kidneys, ureters, urinary bladder and urethra. And also we have understood the internal structure of the kidney. Now we will talk about the very important structure and function unit of the kidney, that is nephron. So let us look at the nephron now. Alright, so this is a nephron you can see here. I've already told you where the nephron is present. It is present at the junction of cortex and medulla, right? So now, few things will be present in the cortex and few things will be present in the medulla, right? What is this here? I will tell you which part, this is also the part of nephron only. So first of all, let me explain you the parts of the nephron. Nephron. Right? In the nephron, there are two parts, beta. In the nephron, there are two parts. One part is known as glomerulus. And the another part is known as renal tubule. One part is known as glomerulus. Another part is known as renal tubules. So, in the tubules, we will talk about few things. First, we will talk about Bowman's capsule. Bowman's capsule. After Bowman's capsule, there is proximal convoluted tubule, PCT. Then there is loop of Henle. Then there is distal convoluted tubule, DCT. And then DCT is opening into the collecting duct. DCT is opening into the collecting duct. It opens into collecting duct. But there is a very, very important thing which I will tell you. Collecting duct is not a part of a single nephron. So many DCTs are opening into one collecting duct, right? So if somebody will ask you, collecting duct is a part of a single nephron or not? No. It is not a part of a single nephron. Collecting duct is not a part of a single nephron. A single nephron. Right? Glomerulus. Let me explain you all these things one by one. Glomerulus. In glomerulus, what is present? It is simply the tuft of capillaries. Tuft of capillaries. What are these capillaries? From where they get formed? I will tell you each and everything. Now, this tuft of capillaries is present in this Bowman's capsule, which is the first part of the renal tubule. Bowman's capsule. Then after Bowman's capsule, there is a convoluted tubule which will be called as PCT, proximal convoluted tubule. Up to here, everything is present in the cortex. Then, the loop of Henle is present in the medulla. The loop of Henle is present in the medulla. Then again, the DCT is present in the cortex. So, let me show you all of these things here. See, what is this? This is a Malpighian body or renal corpuscle. How it is formed? This is the glomerulus here. What is this? This is glomerulus. Glomerulus plus Bowman's capsule makes the Malpighian body or renal corpuscle. Alright? Bowman's capsule plus glomerulus collectively makes the Malpighian body. But you know that glomerulus is a part of one part of the nephron and the other part, renal tubule, is the another part into which Bowman's capsule will come. So, you can see everything here. First part, glomerulus. Then glomerulus is present in the Bowman's capsule. So, Bowman's capsule is the part of renal tubule, I have told you. After Bowman's capsule, what is there? PCT, proximal convoluted tubule, PCT. After proximal convoluted tubule, what is there? Loop of Henle. Henle's loop or loop of Henle. So, obviously, the loop of Henle which is going down is descending limb of loop of Henle and then it is going up, ascending limb of loop of Henle. Then again, it is making a convoluted tubule, that is DCT, distal convoluted tubule. So, up to here, this is cortex and down this is medulla. So, always remember, loop of Henle is present in the medulla, glomerulus, Bowman's capsule, PCT, DCT, everything is present in the cortex and this is present in the medulla. Now, you can see, what is this? This is collecting duct. DCT is opening into the collecting duct. What is this? This is the DCT of another nephron. This is the DCT of another nephron. So, not a single DCT is opening into a collecting duct. many DCTs are opening into the collecting duct. That is why collecting duct is not a part of single nephron. I hope you have understood the structure of nephron, the position of nephron, location of nephron. What is the location? At the junction of cortex and medulla. What are the parts? Two parts. One is glomerulus, which is simply the blood capillaries. I will tell you how these blood capillaries are forming. This is the first part. Second part is renal tubule, into which many parts are there. Renal tubule is formed by Bowman's capsule, PCT, loop of Henle, DCT, and then DCT is opening into the collecting duct. And so many times I have told you collecting duct is not a part of a single nephron. Now, let me explain you how the glomerulus is getting formed. Afferent arteriole. Afferent means it is coming into the nephron. Afferent arteriole is coming into the nephron. Do you know that how arteriole will be formed? So you know that there will be renal artery. There will be renal artery. From the renal artery, the afferent arteriole will be formed. And you know that renal artery is formed from the dorsal aorta. Dorsal aorta is going near to the kidneys, and then into the kidneys, the renal artery is entering into the kidney through the notch, hilum, and then the renal artery will further divide into arterioles. These arterioles are entering into the nephron. Which part of the nephron they are entering? Bowman's capsule. So this is the capsule. In the capsule, it is making the glomerulus. So this is the afferent arteriole which is coming and making the capillaries. Arteriole will further divide to make the capillaries, right? So afferent arteriole will further divide to make the capillaries, and that tuft of capillaries is known as glomerulus. So what is there here? Blood. In this glomerulus, what is present? Blood is present, and then some of the blood will remain here, and because filtration needs to be done and urine formation needs to be done from this part, I will tell you how the urine formation takes place, right? So before that, you need to understand this structure. So afferent arteriole, and then the arteriole which is going out of the Bowman's capsule is known as efferent arteriole. So there are two arterioles. One is entering into the Bowman's capsule. One is entering into the Bowman's capsule. Another is going out of the Bowman's capsule, efferent arteriole. So afferent and efferent. Afferent is coming in, efferent is going out. Can you make out any difference? Yes, you can easily make out the difference here, that the diameter of afferent and efferent is different. The diameter of afferent is more, diameter of efferent is less. So what is the significance? Very, very important. The significance of this difference in the diameter is, if more blood is coming and less blood is going, that means blood will remain here. Some blood will remain here, which will exert pressure for the filtration. It will exert pressure for the filtration, and that pressure has a name, GHP, glomerular hydrostatic pressure. I will explain you all the pressures when I will start urine formation in the next part, right? So this is glomerulus. Inside the glomerulus, this is inside the Bowman's capsule, this is glomerulus. This capsule-like structure is Bowman's capsule, into which there is glomerulus. Together, both of the things are known as Malpighian body or renal corpuscle. So this is all about the structure of the nephron. Let me recap the structure of the nephron. Nephron has two parts. One is glomerulus, which is tuft of capillaries. Now you understood. This tuft of capillaries is formed by afferent arteriole, which is coming into the Bowman's capsule. The next part is renal tubule. In the renal tubule, all these parts will come. The first part is the capsule, Bowman's capsule, then the proximal convoluted tubule, then the loop of Henle, then distal convoluted tubule. Now, very, very important thing. What are the functions of the each tubule? You will understand once we will understand the urine formation, then you will understand what is the function of each renal tubule. But let me explain you PCT, loop of Henle and DCT a little bit. PCT is lined with cuboidal cells, and these cuboidal cells have microvilli. So that means it is lined with which epithelium? It is lined with Brush bordered epithelium. Cuboidal. Brush bordered epithelium. Right? Loop of Henle has simple squamous epithelium only. Squamous epithelium. DCT is also lined with cuboidal epithelium but not brush bordered. Here the cuboidal cells are not having the microvilli. Smooth cuboidal epithelium is present. So smooth cuboidal epithelium. Why I am telling you this? Because they will ask you the question that where does the reabsorption occurs will be maximum. So if this question comes, where does the maximum reabsorption occurs, then always the answer will be PCT, because the surface area in the PCT is more due to the presence of brush bordered epithelium. It has microvilli. Microvilli are small finger-like projections. Look at the surface area. Now look at the surface area more, right? So such type of epithelium, wherever it is present, it will increase the surface area for the absorption. So brush bordered cuboidal epithelium is present in the PCT. Smooth cuboidal epithelium is present in the DCT. Simple squamous epithelium is present in the loop of Henle, and in the Bowman's capsule also simple squamous epithelium is present. This is all about the kidney and the nephron. I hope you have understood the structure of kidney and structure of nephron. Now only one more thing I will talk about, that is the two types of nephron. Two types of nephron. Two types, right? One is the cortical nephron. Most of the nephrons are cortical nephron only. 80 to 85% are cortical nephrons only. And the another part is juxtamedullary nephrons. Juxtamedullary nephrons. Juxtamedullary nephrons and cortical nephrons. What is the difference? The difference is in the loop of Henle. This loop of Henle. The difference is in the location, whether they are more in the cortex or whether they are more in the medulla. So obviously, if they will, this is the deciding factor. The loop of Henle, if it will be short, then major part is present in the cortex. The loop of Henle, if it is long, then the major part is present in the medulla. So this is the basis of telling the two types of nephron, cortical and juxtamedullary nephron. Only one thing you have to remember, that in the cortical nephron, there is short loop of Henle, whereas in the juxtamedullary nephron, there is long loop of Henle. Now, along with this loop of Henle, if you look at the diagram, of a nephron, you can see that this efferent arteriole, it is making a peritubular capillary network around the tubules of the nephron, renal tubule, around the PCT, around the loop of Henle, around the DCT. And then it is making a blood vessel which is named as vasa recta. So this vasa recta will be reduced, or maybe it is not present, not formed when it is a cortical nephron, or it will be very reduced. But if it is a juxtamedullary nephron where loop of Henle is very long, then the vasa recta will be well developed. So this is the another difference. Beta. Cortical nephron, short loop of Henle and reduced vasa recta. Vasa recta is a blood vessel only. In the vasa recta, blood is present. From the efferent arteriole, the blood which is coming out of the glomerulus, it is present in the vasa recta, right? So, juxtamedullary nephron, this vasa recta will be well developed vasa recta. I hope this is clear to you. So, if somebody will ask you, most of the nephrons are cortical nephron, juxtamedullary are less in number, and what is the difference? The difference is in the loop of Henle and the vasa recta, right? Now, one more thing. What is the significance of the juxtamedullary nephrons? So, basically, when our filtrate is formed after the filtration. Filtration is done in the Bowman's capsule. When the glomerulus will come, filtration will be done. So there will be formation of glomerular filtrate. You will understand that in the urine formation only. But I want to tell you the difference. What is the significance of juxtamedullary nephron? They are involved in a mechanism which will concentrate the urine, and that mechanism is known as counter current mechanism. So I will be discussing the counter current mechanism also with you after urine formation. Juxtamedullary nephrons are involved in the counter current mechanism. The cortical nephrons are not involved in the counter current mechanism, right? So you can write this, that they are involved in counter current mechanism. Counter current mechanism. So that is all about the structure of kidney and structure of nephron. I hope you all have understood all this. In the next session, I will discuss about the urine formation. So be in touch, stay tuned for the next session, and all the very best for your NEET exam. Thank you.